guys, welcome back to my channel guys. Today I want to talk about how to date Japanese girl, because I'm a Japanese guy and I have also dated, or I would say I've dated multiple girls from multiple countries and cultures, including Japanese girls. And since I speak Japanese and I'm native Japanese, Japanese born and raised Japanese, but being in North America for past 8 years, I can share some of the insights as a native Japanese who can speak Japanese. So I know some of you guys and also viewers, my subscribers, are interested in Japanese cultures and also dating in Japanese and dating in Japan, like Japanese society. Obviously, if you have never been to Japan, or you don't have a Japanese friends, or not to mention if you have never had Japanese girlfriends, you might wonder how it works. What is the dating scene like? What is the common like pitfalls? What is the to dos and not to dos, like no nos? Like when culture is different, people have different expectations, and people have different, let's say, like a definition of, let's say, body language, let's say, how to ask them out, date, how is the communication like, right? If you don't have the multicultural experience, then it'll be hard for you to prepare yourself. And when it comes to dating, it's all about communications and having right expectations. And I think I have quite a bit of multicultural dating experience. I've probably dated more than with girls from at least 10 countries, 12 countries, I don't know. So if I were you, I would be worried about language and expectations, cultural expectations, and how they go on a date, like a dating system. So let's talk about Japanese girls. So if you want to date a Japanese girls, I know it'll be a little different if you're a foreigner speaking English, or if you are foreigner being able to speak Japanese, or if you're Asian looking guy speaking either Japanese or English, or if you're a Japanese guy like me who speaks either English or Japanese. But anyways, I think number one thing is that some of those girls, Japanese girls, be pretty conservative. It's quite a bit of a dichotomy between them being super conservative, like a kind of typical, like a small town girl, and they might be prudish, right? And they are probably they tend to be more inexperienced in a sense that they don't have enough social situations to improve their social skills. So let me give you an analogy. So in North America, when you graduate high school, there's a event called prom, and the people, like high school students, dress up and then go dance with a guy or girl, right? It's a social event, and you're supposed to dress up and wear a dress if you're a girl. If you're a guy, like wear a tie, and then dance, right? That's part of kind of like in high school, like end of high school event culture. In Japan, there's nothing like that. There's nothing like place where you can express your own personality, because in Japan it's all about uniformity, it's all about teamwork, it's all about collaborations, and it's all about saying yes to the boss and teachers, and it's all about keeping their own individual opinions and expressions and personalities, personal freedom, rights to speak up, or how do I say, to taking away their critical thinkings, because they are not really allowed to think out loud about their opinions. They are not really, given the chance to discuss, debate. There's nothing like debating in Japan, like high school or writing, even writing. they don't really express their thoughts because education system in Japan is really focused on them memorizing facts like history, math, science, of course, but even like in the Japanese language, it's mostly about the grammatical things, and even writing. It's about just summarizing stuff, but they don't do like debating or stating their own opinions. So what that means is that they're not used to expressing themselves in the form of like, let's say, fashion or hairstyle or makeup, or just talking to other gender, like a guy to a girl or girl to guy in a situation like those. So some of them might be pretty how do I say, inexperienced. And also it's different from Europe. If you're living in Europe, that the drinking age, legal age in Japan is 20, I believe. So most girls when they're like 19, 20 have never been to nightclubs or bars. So that tells you a lot about it, because in Europe you can go clubbing in the bars like 16, 17, 18. So they are more used to like socializing, talking to different people, guys, girls, how to have fun, nightclubs, bar, drink alcohol, food and restaurants. They have more experience interacting with diverse set of people. But in Japan, it's all about hierarchy, seniority. So they are not used to talking to people from different background, from different age range, and they just are not mature enough in social context. Not that intellectual context, but they don't have maturity in communication or social social skills. But they just don't focus on that whole cultural system. They're basically suppressing their personality. They're suppressing. They're all about controlling, providing rules and micromanaging what they can do and what they cannot do. So that tells you that they might not be used to expressing their emotions, because that's not really valued in Japanese education. So if you talk to girls, Japanese girls, I'm gonna tell you why I'm talking about this for 3 minutes in the past. Because if you talk to girls and they probably don't give you much as a response and a feedback, as opposed to like, let's say you're talking to, let's say, North American girls or European girls, they might be a little bit more authentic and honest about their feelings. Japanese girls might have a harder time expressing their feelings. So if you talk to them, oh hey, blah blah blah, and then do you want to go on XYZ coffee, dinner, or what did you think about it, or how's your day? They're not gonna give you much if they're conservative and if they're inexperienced, less experienced, right? And you might be confused, oh, she doesn't like me. Or like, oh, she's giving me cold shoulder. Oh, she's so robotic. I don't know, she's not empathetic or sympathetic. Or she just gives me cold shoulder. You might think like that. But you need to understand where she's coming from, I mean, this video is about dating Japanese girls, so that might be the case, so you need to kind of embrace that, kind of see where she's coming from, put yourself in her shoes, and then tell her it is okay to be honest. It's okay to express your feelings and thoughts, because it's just a way to grow up and then become an individual human. Other thing is definitely a body language thing, physicality. In Japan, people don't hug, people don't I would say do much of like a PDA, public display of affection, like kissing or hugging in public place, like train station, or definitely not inside a public transit like bus, train, even like shopping mall. Many, I would say, high school or university students might be a little bit too sensitive about those stuff. So if you do that too much in public, she might not like it. And then there are so many stories I've read, or phrases like even like TV dramas and stuff, that some girls don't want to hold hands in public or in front of their friends. And then you might feel like, oh, so she doesn't want to hold my hand and she doesn't like me. She's not like, smiling in public. And then when you go home, her attitude, behavior changes like 180 degrees, and she's like all over your body. She's like, cuddling with you, hugging with you, and pretty much like just the opposite. That might happen. And you need to, and that might be, one of the reasons might be she just doesn't like to in the society in Japan, people are pretty sarcastic and people are a little bit negative about people just being happy. So some people are worried about other people's eyes. If they are like a little too happy, having a good time and holding hands and then smiling, they might think other people might get jealous, or some people think other people might, be sarcastic about them, like, oh, are you showing off, like you guys are too happy, kind of thing. There's a phenomena like that. If you're like, these days it's getting better, but before that, like 2 years ago, when you're posting your personal selfie photos on Instagram, Facebook, many Japanese people thought of that act as like, oh, are you showing off? Are you a little bit like narcissistic? Oh, are you saying like your life is better because you're having fun and a good time? So people are a little bit like sarcastic, and people don't like to show off, or people have more of a humbleness as opposed to just expressing. So they tend to be a little more modest and a little, how do I say, take a step back in public. Because some people are really fucked up. I need to admit, most Japanese people are fucked up, and people think if you have like the portrait photo, the Facebook profile picture, which is exactly what it's supposed to be, Facebook, but many Japanese people like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, didn't want to have their own portraits on Facebook profile because society and other people think, oh, you're too confident to be able to show your portrait photo, and what the fuck is that, right? And it's something like that. And so many people are a little bit concerned about other people's eyes. They're really sensitive about people's eyes, judgment, and really many people are actually judgmental in Japan. So that's the reason why you need to be careful about how much you are invading, not in a physical space, but their mental space as well. Not just to a girl that you like, mental space of that girl that you like, but mental space with other people around you and your girl, because other people might be like, oh wow, like what is this showy thing going on right now? It's like people a little bit robotic and less facial expression. They just follow the system. They follow yes, and then they don't think about their own individual personal happiness, and they don't care too much about their own life. They care more so about social orders and what other people think about them, and